Here's what one of my good friends asked when I told him that Peter and I were moving to China. So what? Are you gonna live in a mud hut with chickens or something? This is stuck in our mind for many years because at the time, we didn't know the answer. It's the perfect encapsulation of the ignorance we felt at the time for the new life we had signed up for. What's life like in China? Who knows? But actually, Uncle Foreigner knows. So today, I'd like to demystify the China lifestyle for you just a little bit. As always, if there's anything I leave out or you'd like to know more about, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. And before we get into the nitty-gritty, I just want to point out that in China there's a big difference between living in a big city, living in a small city, and living in the countryside. The biggest cities are the most cosmopolitan. Shanghai is basically Manhattan, and the countryside is pretty rural. So for reference today, we're going to use the smaller cities, and you can scale up or scale down as applies to your situation. So let's get started, and I want to talk first a little bit about the living conditions. Peter and I, we've lived in a couple apartments, and they're all pretty modern. We have indoor plumbing, we have electricity, we have, most of the conveniences that we had at home. You do have to watch out. Some places have Western toilets, but it's really more common to have a squat toilet. But you can specify if you're working with a real estate agent that you would like to find a Western toilet. Also, if you really, really, really want one, you can talk to your landlord and get one installed maybe. You might have to pay for it, but it is possible. Huh?
We have both.
Oh, in our apartment, we have 2 bathrooms, and one has a Western toilet and one has a squat toilet. So it really is, anything is possible in the glorious world of Western toilets. The power goes out, I would say, more frequently here than it does in New York City back home, but it's never really been that big a deal. Same with the water. We have had water outages of a couple days, in which case there's usually some sort of spigot in your apartment complex that you can get some sort of water. Although worst case scenario, you'll have to go to the grocery store and get those big couple gallon jugs to keep you alive and clean. So apartments are pretty modern, but it's really not common to have a clothes dryer, even if you do have a washing machine in your apartment. It's expensive to run energy-wise, so you'll have some sort of doodad where you can hang up all your clothes to dry, even in an apartment. We have a clothes rod on our balcony where we can hang up all our clothes to dry. It's a pain, and I definitely notice when we go back home to America that we do have a clothes dryer, but I can enjoy feeling pretty superior by being so green. And chickens, even in a city, people do have live chickens, but it's more that they've bought the chicken to have for dinner in a couple days, and they'll take it to the butcher to slaughter it if they don't want to do it themselves. We have not bought a live chicken, but we could. All right, the next big deal is that China is a police state, and when you come here, all your activities are explicitly monitored by the police. You have to register your home with them. You have to check in with them when you leave and when you come back out of your city. When you travel to other cities, it's part of the hotel check-in procedure that they're going to take your passport, take a photocopy of your passport to give to the police there, so now they know you're in Chongqing or Beijing or wherever you are. Wherever you are, your every move is tracked by the local police, or the PSB is what it's called, the Public Security Bureau. There are fines if you do fail to check in, if your local PSB is feeling spiteful. This has never happened, and I'll admit it here, we haven't always been perfect, but it's just something to be aware of. The weird thing is that after 6 years, these check-ins are kind of normal. I mean, I maybe should feel a little more upset about it, but it's just, it happens and you're not going to change China. More fun entertainment. Chinese TV is famously terrible. All of our Chinese students at the middle school, they'd tell us the American shows they'd watch online because nobody wants to watch Chinese TV. You probably won't either. Even if you're really keen on improving your Chinese language, watching TV is not a good way to do it. There is internet access. It is slow and censored and possibly monitored by the police, but you can get around this with privacy apps and something called a VPN, which will allow you to access the wider uncensored internet. This is how, too, you can have like a Netflix subscription or, Hulu or whatever. We had a working Netflix subscription for a while, and the only problem really was that sometimes the streaming was a little slow, so stuff would buffer, but it's possible. We get American and foreign movies here in addition to Chinese produced movies, especially action movies and like the Marvel movies. Those are always going to come over here, although sometimes not at the same time as they come out in America.
Sandy.
Huh? Oh, and in 3D too, which is annoying to me because I can't see 3D, so I just have to wear glasses when we go to the movies. But if you love 3D movies, they're all here. And it's pretty cheap, especially compared to how expensive it is to go to the movies in the US. Concerts, we love live music, but we do have to go to other big cities to see them. In Chengdu and Chongqing, there are a couple big rock clubs that have some pretty cool acts, but Luzhou has like bar bands, which is fun. The bigger music thing that you'll usually be asked to do is KTV, which is what the Chinese call karaoke. Karaoke is karaoke, and if you like it, you're in luck. If you don't like it, you'll probably still have to do it anyway because it's oftentimes like a business outing. It just is, it's KTV. And finally, China's bar culture is not really the same as it is in Western countries. It's kind of becoming that. You can find bars that are like Western style bars. But I find a lot of times people just get like shit-faced at the restaurant instead. Sitting around just sipping a drink it's not Chinese, but it might be one day. So that's entertainment. Our next topic is food. Chinese food is famous, although a lot of Westerners complain about the food over here. The big complaint I hear is that it's oily. I don't mind it. I like oily food, I guess. But if you go out to eat, you'll have Chinese options. We live in Sichuan province, which is a famously spicy cuisine, and I feel so lucky we moved here because I really love it. You'll have Western options that vary in quality. It might feel pretty inauthentic, but I do like to think about what we call Chinese food in America. Chinese people, when they go there, they don't think that's Chinese food. So the same is for some Western food over here. It's not really what you'd eat at home. Although there are restaurants that are getting better and better at giving you food that tastes like mom made it or something. I don't know. There's always home cooking too. The supermarkets here are pretty well stocked, and there are farmers markets that have like fantastic produce. And if you're up for it, freshly slaughtered meat. Your kitchen probably won't have an oven. You can get one, but that's not standard. Usually you'll just have a cooktop with 2 burners. Because a lot of Chinese food is just cooked in the wok, flash fried. But if you're up to it, it's a cheap way to go, and then you can make exactly what you want. If you're not up for it, this is something Peter and I take advantage of a lot, is 𝗖𝗵cie, which is food delivery straight from your phone. If you have WeChat, or Weixin is what Chinese people call it, You can dial up the menu of any restaurant in your area, punch in the buttons, and then the guy brings it right to your door. It's so easy and not that much more expensive than going out to eat, just a couple of yuan more. As for getting around in the city, you've got subways, buses, and taxis, and subways are subways, buses are buses, taxis are taxis. The one tip I have for you, if you are going to take taxis, someone gave this advice to me and I really did use it, is get a Chinese friend to write down the address of where you are going, the address of common places where you're going, so you can kind of use it as your own index and just point to the guy, take me here, please, until you learn enough Chinese to get around by yourself. They're going to laugh at you. They laughed at me, but they also took me where I wanted to go, so it worked out. They have Uber here and then a homegrown app called Didi, which is the same. You also, if you're really adventurous, can get your Chinese driver's license and get your own car or scooter. But Chinese traffic is the worst, so I don't recommend this. I'll say this here. I mean, I've said this a couple times in this video. I'm from New York. But I really do think that some expats' complaints about China are actually complaints about living in a city. Cities are crowded, fast-paced. Not everyone's going to say hello to you. Not everyone's going to be friendly with you. Those are city things. That's not China things. That being said, a thing that is very Chinese that will happen to you if you look foreign here is that you are going to be famous. They're going to look at you and point and take pictures and wave and say, hello, hello, excuse me, hello, because that's the English they know. I think it's kind of funny. I like being a famous person. You might think it's annoying, but I think the best way to deal with it is just laugh it off and go on with your day. You're foreign, you're famous, have fun taking pictures. But you can also try to make some Chinese friends. There's going to be a language barrier, obviously, but a lot of young people learn English. You have to learn English to go to university now. So you'll find a lot of young people who do know English, and a lot of young people want to be friends with foreigners. I mean, the fact is, you look different than everybody else out here, and people are going to notice that. So that's it, the Lazy Expat China lifestyle. If I missed something, if you want to know more, leave a comment. We'll have so many more videos coming up about living in China, different culture things. So subscribe so you don't miss out. Good luck on your transition over here, and if you're ever in Luzhou, look us up. Buses are super cheap, 1 or 2 kuai to go where you need to go within the city. It's the same as taking a city bus in a city. It's the same as taking a city bus it's the same, it's taking a city bus.